All right. Hello, my name is Danny Green. Welcome to the National Guild of Hypnotists, Washington chapter. Thanks for joining us this evening on October 13th. We're so excited to hear from Stanley Yang. And we meet on the very first Thursday of the month at 7 o'clock. So please continue to join us for this great time together. I am going to pin Stanley so he can begin. And there you go, Stanley.
Good evening, everyone. I'm your presenter tonight. I got my training, I got my training in 2011. And then I become certified instructor by NGH. Also, I'm board certified by NGH. And my practice before pandemic was in Seattle area, but after pandemic now I just use just online. So tonight I'm going to present about academic success, because I work with students, also about many even performers. So now let's start. So the topic is hypnosis for academic success. So first, I'm wondering how many of you work with students? Oh, good.
I don't work a lot with students at all.
Me neither.
And in fact, students, especially teenagers, for them, always they need help, but sometimes they just don't know. So what kind of issues people think we hypnotists can help students for their academic performance? I think most people will answer this. Stress reduction, test anxiety. But probably most people just only can think just about this. In fact, we can do more than this. And also, I think it is very important to make more people understand we hypnotists can help them to improve their performance through many issues. So first, I want people think about this. Students, especially teenagers, they feel difficult to concentrate. In fact, they don't sleep well, they don't eat well, and they probably take too much caffeine. What can we do for them? This situation, I think, not just only use hypnosis, coaching also important. But for us, we have a powerful tool. Some life coach, they just use their method, but sometimes we know the issues, hypnosis really work better than others. So first, let's look what's the potential area improvement for students. I think first one. Tonight, I'm going to cover some area, but the potential area are not limited to this. I just only include some of them. First one is goal setting. What they want. Sometimes they don't know, even they don't have a very clear goal. Of course, they are not able to succeed their starting. So goal setting, we needed to understand what they want and why these goals are important and how do they know they achieve. Because goal setting provide the students something to focus on. Clear target in mind is very important. But goal setting, another thing I think we needed to notice is you needed to consistent with their value. If they're different, they just won't work. The second, wow. Self-talk and belief. Very often is self-doubt, limiting beliefs. For example, like this, I'm not smart enough, I cannot do it. Sometimes we just only heard this kind of language. Many people, for example, many people are not good at math. Why? They believe only a few talented person can do it well. Each time when they face math, they just reinforce their self-talk. If they keep doing so, talk to themselves, I'm not able to do it. They won't be good at math in their rest of life because each time they just reinforce this. I'm gonna say like math, this subject, if you really understand how to read their spatial language, then you will change. But unfortunately, many students, when they start to learn math, probably they don't get right concept. Sometimes even teachers, they don't use very good method, or they don't present that very well. So they have that kind of idea. I'm not able to do that. Also for the second language, very often people just feel they are not able to. But in fact, we think about this. Most people can use their first language very well. To learn a first language, in fact, even much more difficult than to learn second language. Why? Because at that time, without any previous language to explain and help you learn, right? We basically how we learn a language. We just from the sound and connect the object, physical object or some concept and meaning. Then even more complicated to create a sentence than syntax, structure of sentence, and word order, and so on. So we can know even first language is more difficult to learn, but most people just can do, no problem at all. But why second language then becomes a problem? My experience, even I saw some people, very interesting is, now in the world, many countries, English is a compulsory course in the school. But even you would learn that before, not always that's an asset. Sometimes that becomes a liability. Why? Because when they don't have a good experience, even you study for years, and that just make you believe you just not able to do that. So, and also my experience, even I remember this one, only spent just 2 years, totally no idea about English. Then they are able to attend university, but at the same time, I can see another one. They just learned it before, but they just, even for a few years, they move to English speaking country, they still cannot do that. I think that's just because your beliefs. And also we check what exactly talk to yourself. So if you don't believe you can do it, and even worse, you just believe you are going to fail, such self-defeating prophecy will be fulfilled. And another one I think is time management. Time management, when we ask students how to improve their academic performance, I think this is a very common answer. I needed to study harder. But in fact, it won't work all the time. Without exception, everyone, we just only have 24 hours a day. No more, no less. So sleep less and study more is not always a solution to achieve better performance. How to use time wisely is a key to make change. And also time management, also energy management. Why? We know even 24 hours a day, but not each hours we got the same quality. So how to put your priority, that's very important. So it is not just only arrange the time, and also how to arrange, you will be the best situation to do you needed to do. Another one is stress management. No student should expect a stress-free life, no stress at all. Studying is not going to succeed. Some students feel stressed. Some are not aware of it until it affects their health and performance. Physical symptoms of stress, such like low energy, headache, upset stomach. Stress also reduces creativity and the problem-solving ability. Myself, I remember when I was a student, I found that when I study, when I read quite a lot, sometimes when I needed to hand my assignment, essay as assignments, I just found very often I just study and read quite a lot. It just won't work until very often, just like when you take a shower, that moment you got some idea. So this is stress, but very often students, they may sometimes even they think that's okay, but they don't know. In fact, the stress really influence your creativity. Another one is about concentration. Concentration, one, some people, they just feel very difficult to concentrate. Another thing is attention span is too short. They can do that for 5 minutes, but not enough. You're not able to continue. And also concentration, they are different kind of concentration. Some kind of concentration, they can only just focus on one point, one thing. But sometimes we need to have a concentration even wider. You need to be aware several things that just changed. So concentration is very important for students. Another one is about distraction. Sometimes people may think concentration and distraction isn't just two things and just one thing, but two sides, but not always exactly. Distraction, there are more from outside here we mentioned, because so in fact we are in the age of distraction. Email, social media, internet, and also study environment, also text message, smartphone, all of this, it can be a distraction. Some people even they have this habit, they may check social media every 5 minutes. So that situation, even you have a very good capability to concentrate, but that situation, you still not can do that well. This is about distraction. Another one is motivation. Without this, students sometimes they cannot succeed, because I think it's very direct. The problem is if they don't submit their assignment in time, they are not going to succeed. So cannot finish that in time. They cannot well prepared, or they have the issues of procrastination. This we need. They really need to be motivated. And also, how can you keep the intensity, persistence? This is about the motivation. So far, I mentioned all of this is very common issues for students. So what we can do? I think a very important thing is we need to do intake interviews and follow up. So generic script won't work too well because there are so many different issues. And also it is unlikely the student, they will have all the issues. I think some, they just have several. So use the intake interview to identify the client's issue and then decide which approach and strategy and a plan. And also remember, when we use intake interview, try to learn their language, because when we do the suggestion, we need to use their language, not our own. I must say, it's very unlikely that we help students to improve their academic performance by only one session, because that situation, we just don't know. Is it successful or not. It's a process and needed to follow up. Sometimes I heard smokers said this. I went to an hypnotist and it did not work. And I asked them, how many sessions have you done? The answer is 1. On the other hand, some hypnotists will say, my client only take 1 session to quit cigarette. And they suppose it's succeed. But in fact, when we ask, how did you know it succeed? The answer will be, they don't come back. But just without follow-ups, it doesn't mean we really know the result. So now I'm going to talk about how to solve these problems. I think goal setting, this is very common. Now I guess the most people know, very familiar with this, they call SMART. S-M-A-R-T. S means specific. M, measurable. A, achievable. R, realistic. T, time bound. Okay, now I give the example. The better example is this. I want to write a book. If you set this as a goal, very vague. Good example is this. I want to write a book on meditation techniques for beginners. Okay, this book. That is at least 100 pages in length. And I get it completed by January 31st, 2024. I will write at least 5 pages every week until I finish the book. I think here we can see each one is very clear. So we set this kind of goal that really we can do it, not just very vague concept. So this one, we need to help students. They know how to do that. And even we want they do that. During our session, we ask, and this before we give the hypnotic suggestion, we need to get this. Then about self-talk and belief, I think we need to identify clients' limiting beliefs and replace positive beliefs. Beliefs really make difference. Another thing is help them be aware of the limiting thought and help them when they are mindful on this, they know how to replace positive ones. Another thing is reframe limiting thoughts. I think this can be a skill, and also we can use we can do this in a session. Make them to change. Use a different way to change their thought. And sometimes, so far I mentioned this, basically this is a direct suggestion. But sometimes if direct suggestion won't work very well, we need to go to the origin. So that situation, we will use age regression. I think this is very important. Sometimes people, they have many fantasy idea about the age regression, but in fact, for the purpose, clinical purpose, in fact, this is how you go to the origin when you start that. So this is what we can do about the self-talk and the beliefs. Then another one is time management. Time management, I think we can ask the client start to plan, and we want to see how well and give them suggestion how you can plan this, and use a to-do list to set the priority, and ask them to review plan regularly. For the follow-ups, also we can help them make sure this is a habit, review their plan regularly, and stick to the plan and the to-do list. This we can use a positive hypnotic suggestion, help them always can remember. Then as a stress management, of course, there are several things we can do. One, about self-confidence. When we have a confidence, that's easy to face the stress. If we don't, even sometimes just panic against what you face. So this, we can use direct suggestion to do. And I will mention that later, several tools. Another thing, also I use the Tai Chi, the training, because we need is alert relaxation, because when we want to have a better performance, not always just relaxation. Sometimes we need energy. So that's how to get the best zone you can have a good performance. So stress management here, I will recommend this. And also now I mentioned several ways. This is from the NGH textbook. This based on Dr. Richard Hart. The proper breathing, self-relaxation, pre-sleep technique, and reinforced script. Here, he mentioned there's a proper breathing. Basically use deep breathing. But this part myself, I would like to adjust that, because I don't think you do a deep breath. You can do that for 20 minutes. I think if you do that, definitely exhausted. So what you can do, I just found make your breathing. First, of course, you can start with deep breath, but that's just only beginning. Then you need to relax that and keep your body just relax, and feel that's a natural rhythm. Then that really can help you become relaxed. Another one is self-relaxation. Basically, this progressive relaxation techniques. I think this is very, very popular. Another one they call pre-sleep technique. Basically, they use very simple suggestion before the client go to sleep. I just give you from the textbook. I think this is an example. They use this for 10 times each day, every day, in every way. I get better and better. This just before go to sleep. Use this way. And also there's a technique how to keep you finish this 10 times, not fall asleep. So they may use the fingers. You just focus when you lay on the bed, but you use your fingers and make sure you do that 10 times. And another one is a reinforced script. This is a very simple script, but it works. Yes, I feel calm, I feel relaxed, I feel in control. I'm calm, I'm relaxed, I'm in control. I feel safe, I feel secure, I'm letting go. As I let go, all my muscle groups begin to relax. I feel calm, I feel relaxed, I feel in control. As my muscle groups relax, a beam sunlight focus on my skull and spread relaxation and warm up throughout my body. And it rids me of all negative thought, negative feelings, leaving me with only positive thought and positive feelings. I feel calm, I feel relaxed, I feel in control. My mind is now open to receive helpful, beneficial suggestion I'm going to give myself. I think this is a good example we can use. And we can see this repeated quite a few times. I feel calm, I feel relaxed, I feel in control. I'm calm, I'm relaxed, I'm in control. Yeah. So this basically is from NGH textbook. As a certified instructor, also I want to show you this. But except this, I think another thing is help our client to learn and to have a good habit. Always be aware their stress level and manage that. I think this is very important. Now I'm going to tell you a story. Many years ago, my niece stayed with us. And one day, she just asked a very strange question. And that question made me just wondering why she asked that. But later I realized because she has an assignment needed to submit by 10 o'clock evening. But when she told me at that moment already 7 o'clock, and she just found that she could not continue. Even she tried to, even she failed, she probably going to give up. So at that moment, I just feel I don't have much I can do. So what I do, I just told her, okay, give me 5 minutes. So I just use very simple, just induction, and that induction, yeah, just bring them to the chance and just tell them, make yourself relax. Then just done. So that's only 2 or 3 hours. But second day, I realized she submit assignment in time. And I asked her, until second day, I realized this, because at the time, I don't think we don't have time to do other things. But this situation really inspired me, because before that, I tried to teach her quite a lot techniques, doing Tai Chi or something. But at that moment, I just found out, wow, that's so powerful. Only 5 minutes and it solved the problem. But later I realized why that happened. Because sometimes if you don't control your stress level until that's too high, then you are not able to do the one more thing. And then you needed to do something, even you use some technique to reduce your stress. It's impossible, because at that moment, you just don't want to do anything. But at that moment, when we use induction, very simple, she just follow. So that's why it works. So for stress management, of course, sometimes at this special situation, yes, we can use this skill. But I must say, this is just like a first aid, because for the most people, it won't happen. Our client, I think there's no way, okay, now only 3 hours, then I call you, oh, I need you help me. I think it basically it just won't happen. But I must say, this is a very powerful one. Sometimes probably we can help our very close friends or family members. But for really can work, I think we still need to help them to build a long-term the plan, how you to cope your stress. Next one is about concentration. Time management. Also, I will mention another thing for the next part. Concentration. I think we needed to focus on several things. Of course, we want them. This is not only a skill. The client, we needed to help them get enough sleep and rest. Without, if you are too tired, it's just not able to concentrate. To take a break regularly, also this is very important. So this one, how to help our client have this habit, take a break regularly. This is very often we just forget, even ourselves. I must say, if we want to be very productive, this is a very important point. And be careful about food, overeating, caffeine, all this that will influence our concentration. And also learn how to find a balance between relaxation and alertness. This kind of idea, I think if we read about how to achieve peak performance or do meditation well, always will mention this, how to keep the balance between the both. But in fact, this is not so easy. This is not simply we say, oh, that's just in the middle. This is a very practical thing. We need to help our client to achieve that point. I must say in the beginning, probably not a point. That's just a zone we need to adjust. Okay, they might be too relaxed. They might be too tight, and how to achieve the situation is fit your performance. And another thing is about the good postures with a good alignment and relaxation. Be present. Now we know very common for this years about mindfulness. This is one point, one important point. Be present. Another thing, this is what we needed to teach our client. Learn how to adjust the state of mind. I found many successful performer or even meditator. In fact, the one thing very important is you needed to prepare before you start. This is a key. Sometimes we just do that in a hurry. We think we can do that, but in fact, we without a well preparation, we just mess that. Another thing I mentioned, okay, that term exactly, I must say this broad focus and a narrow focus. Narrow focus, we just only focus on one point, only one thing. Another is a broad focus. For example, if you are the guard at the entrance, what do you need to do? You not only just focus on one person, you need to be aware what happened. And in fact, when we study, sometimes I remember myself when I was young at that time. For me, the English listening is difficult. It is so difficult. The problem is what? Because at that moment, you just only learn how to focus on one point. But when you listen, that's continuing, going, that's a stream. And you need to learn another kind of concentration. So for students, we need to help them to learn the different kind of focus. So all of this, we can use a hypnotic, post-hypnotic suggestion, something we want them always can be aware. Also, we can anchor this in NGH term. Use their experience. They have the state of the concentration. This also is a good way to help them. I remember people doing the meditation. Sometimes they will use from the first step gradually to achieve a kind of concentration. But in fact, later I realized if we understand how to use post-hypnotic suggestion, or sometimes we use this term anchor. In fact, even we can use this, the memory of the experience, and use this, reinforce that. They can very quickly go to that state of mind. this is what we can do. We can find our client some moment they can achieve the good, suitable state of concentration. Use that to reinforce that. So also help them to do this before starting. They use they can be just 2 or 3 minutes to adjust their state of mind. Another one about distraction, noise distraction. There are several things we can do. One, if we can control noise, if the noise is from outside, you can close your windows. They can help. Another situation, if you are not able to do that, you can be away from the noise sources. Sometimes you find an even better place to study. If you cannot do that, even you can use earplugs. If everything you just found still cannot do that, we can use a positive hypnotic suggestion to help them to feel the noise, how they feel that. Because when people, they are worried about them more, then that becomes a stronger influence on them. So that way we can use positive hypnotic suggestion. And that idea, even a little bit like pain management, we just change that, how they feel that. And about digital devices, set the limits. Let our client limit themselves in a certain time period a day to access digital devices or their distraction, the source of distraction. Sometimes even they can turn off notification or place their phone out of reach for a certain time interval. So do time blocking. I think this way is how you can prevent a distraction. This is what we can suggest our client, help them to do this. Motivation. We needed to review their goal setting. Motivation, basically, if you don't have a goal and how to motivate. So of course after we do the intake interview, we use this information. Visualization and imagery is another thing we can do. This one, you feel that's so real. I must say, motivation just like this. If we just feel this is far away, or that just in front of you, or that just will happen next moment, that will be very different. So motivation, how to use this visualization, just help them to feel, okay, that's so close to you. You just want it. And even you can use that, help them to not just visualize that and help them to feel that they just want that. And also teach them self-hypnosis and affirmation. This is the tool we can do. except these, I must say the same thing. If direct suggestion won't work well, we need to go back to the origin. But now, another thing we can do, that's we call path therapy. That means there's an inner conflict. Okay, part of them they want to do, but part of them they just don't want. So we use the path therapy, help them to solve their eternal conflict. I think this is what we can do for motivation. So now several tools I suggest we can use this. One is ego strengthening. This originally from the John Hartland. This one basically is a kind of generic script, but the Dr. John Hartland at the time, even he just used this for many situations and I found it very helpful. I'm not quite sure whether each of you familiar with this. Yeah, I guess, of course, Barbara, no problem at all, because that in our textbook. But this one, I must say, very easy. You can access this. You just type in this. Now you from the internet, you can find that. And this one, also we can use this for our client, student as a client, we can use this. And this one, I must say the principle is how basically make them have a hope, make them can feel they better and better. I think this is the principle. Okay, I'm going to repeat several things because this I probably still needed to spend for a while. I can just brief introduce this. The first start with, you have become so deeply relaxed, so deeply asleep, that your mind has become so sensitive, let me see. So deep into the unconscious part of your mind, and it will make so deep and lasting an impression there that nothing will eradicate it. This is a start. Then it continues. Consequently, this thing that I put into your unconscious mind will begin to exercise a greater and greater influence over the way you think, over the way you feel, over the way you behave. And because the things will remain firmly embedded in the unconscious part of your mind, after you left here, when you are no longer with me, they will continue to exercise that same great influence over your thought, your feelings, your actions, just as strong, just as surely, just as powerful when you are back home or at work, as when you are actually with me in this room. You are now so very deeply asleep that everything that I tell you that is going to happen to you for your own good will happen exactly as I tell you. A very feeling that I tell you that you will experience exactly as I tell you. And these same things will continue to happen to you every day, and will continue to experience these same feelings every day, just as strongly, just as surely, just as powerfully when you are back home or at work as when you are with me in this room. Okay, here we can see this. There are several things. They just repeat. And this very helpful when we give them the suggestion. So this I don't want to spend too much time on this, but basically you can from the internet, even you just use this search, you can find this. So this I think is a very powerful tools, and of course you can adjust that, adapt that with your client's situation. Second, the tool I think I use joy. What does it mean? Basically, help them when they study, help them to feel a joy. I think this is very important. Sometimes we just try because they should do that, but they just cannot enjoy that. So this is what we hypnotists, I think much easier than just life coach, because we can use hypnotic suggestion like anchors. We can connect that, help them and reframe their feeling, how they study. So this is what I call joy. Another thing is I mentioned this before, earlier, visualization or imagery. I give you a story. Several years ago, there's Taiwanese famous film director, and I just listened to the interview, and then I found it pretty interesting. He mentioned in the beginning, he worked very hard to raise the money for his big budget film. But at the time, he was not famous at all. Even at that time, he was a nobody. So fundraising, in fact, he tried, not successful. So he took his friend's suggestion to make another film to win the trust of the investors. Finally, he achieved his major goal. So he got sufficient money. So he made his movie. He really what he wanted to do. And that movie, he got very great success. And in the interview, he mentioned one thing, why he did that. He said, before he started to fund his film, all the film's image were so vivid, just in his mind. He cannot get rid of that. So that's how keep going. So this story, I think good enough for us to know how to use a visualization. Use this, because if this image is so vivid in our client, this is what they really want to do. You can see this, how powerful it is. This is a visualization. Self-hypnosis and affirmation. This is, we as a hypnotist, we should always remember to teach our client to do this. I think it is not easy because we all know after session that influence gradually just fade away. They needed to reinforce. Of course, there are sometimes very special situation like a trauma or really very strong suggestion, but this not really we can control, because if the suggestion is so strong to our client, then it automatically reinforces again. But this is not what we can control. So best thing we can do, ask our client, teach them to do self-hypnosis. Of course, sometimes luckily we give that suggestion really so strong, they never forget, and they will reinforce automatically. But this happened, I don't think we really can control that. Next. Pomodoro technique. I'm not quite sure whether you know this. The idea is very simple. This term, Pomodoro, this originally this is Italian term for tomato. So in fact, they make a kind of just this kind of shape timer. So originally how to do that? They just use you study or you work, you do something you needed to focus 25 minutes, then you rest 5 minutes and keep that 4 times as one session. And this, because you set very limited time and you want to focus that, and also you have a short rest, that's easy to concentrate. And also this, because you set time, that able to prevent the procrastination. But this, I must say, this is just a principle. 25 minutes. This is not the very strict criteria. You needed to do that. I think that's this just a general principle. You know how it works. And today, even I checked this again. Now I found on YouTube there are some people they adjust this. So basically, still follow this principle. I think this is a powerful tool for students. Another one I want to mention is mindfulness of the breathing. I suggest this, and basically I feel this is better than just do deep breath, because I mentioned I think you can do deep breath 1 minute, 2 minutes. I think even 5 minutes, I think you feel tired, right? So, but mindfulness of breathing is different. Of course, in the beginning, you prepare something, you do several deep breaths. Then you gradually, you just keep your, and the mindfulness of breathing is very interesting in this. You keep your mind and very gentle on your breath. And even you not try to focus. The mindfulness here just means you just gently, because the breathing, the natural rhythm of the breathing, and you just know that. And this you can, then this can help you focus in a subtle way. Okay, so this one I recommend as a hypnotist. When we understand this, also we can help and even teach, coach. I think this really we need to coach our client. They know how to use this. So basically, this is what I suggest we can do. Okay, now let me finish my presentation with my own story. That is, I must say, that's an unforgettable moment in when I was in the senior high school. The one thing changed my life. Before I went to Air Force Academy in Taiwan. I studied in a military high school from 10th grade to 12th grade. Before 12th grade, I was not good at math. Not confident in math. Just at the beginning of my 12th grade year, surprisingly, I met my former classmate in my school. I mean, the former classmate. We were in the same class from the 7th grade to 9th grade. Now, for some reason, he transferred to my school to 10th grade. At the time, I was 12th grade, but he became 10th grade. And he told me the math course was too easy for him because he already studied another school for 2 years. I don't know why he transferred. Not really transfer. I think he just restarted. So, and he even told me, he told me he even already took a calculus before. I heard people say that calculus is so difficult to learn. But I remember his school performance was never better than mine. So I thought, you can do it. Of course, I can do it. So a few days later, I got an opportunity. I went to a bookstore. I found a book on calculus, which is easy to read. I think just like currently we have a books for dummies. That kind of book. I bought it and read it. It's really easy to read at the beginning. One day, my platoon leader found I read it. Who got his bachelor degree in chemistry from a top university in Taiwan. Basically, his situation just like ROTC, this kind of person. And he told me, it sounds a good idea to study this subject earlier, because normally people start this in the university. So if I had a difficulty, he would like to help me. With his help, but I studied by myself. He did not teach me, just answer my question if necessary. Then it took 1 semester for me to finish that book. He did not recommend me, but I found his university textbook of calculus was interesting and very good. So after the first semester, then I bought that book, but that book was written in English. English is my second language. At that time, I have never finished a book in English, except the English course. Then I bought the same textbook of the calculus with his help again. I finished that textbook at the end of the second semester. That's 12th grade. That book is the formal standard university textbook, not a book for dummies. At that time, I used English dictionary very often. In the beginning, just several pages, there are 100 words I need to use the dictionary. But finally, I did it. Since then, I started my new habit. Reading books in English is part of my life because of my confidence in math. Even after I discharged from the Air Force Academy in Taiwan, 18 years, I still dare to take statistics as my postgraduate study. And the English books, I have read more than, so far, the English books I have read, in fact, more than Chinese books I read. Including Christianity, Buddhism, theology, philosophy, international politics, finance, math, physics, psychology, hypnosis, all of this. And this, I must say, why that helped? I think several things. Because I met my classmate, and he did that. I believe, and at the time, I just feel, I never feel his performance is better than mine. So because he was not a kind of genius. So then I found, okay, you can do that. Of course, I can do that. I think this is very important. So this is a belief. You got someone, you found, okay, that person just same as you, they can do that. Then you just find of course you can do that. And second thing is, I studied calculus because at the time I have a strong passion on physics. So we know if you really want to study physics, the calculus is very important. So this is very strong motivation I get. Another thing is I started do that with suitable textbooks. Even that one is not textbook. So sometimes I found that the books for dummies sometimes is pretty good, you know, because very quickly you can get the basic knowledge for the beginner. Then that's easy. Then you found that you can do that. And also you have the source. You have someone can help you. Then you gradually establish your confidence. Then you found, oh yes, you really can do that. So in fact, I mentioned because you have your goal and you believe you can do that. And also you can find the source, people help you. And also very interesting because you have a very strong motivation. You really want to do that. Sometimes our life very interesting. When you really want to do something, then you find someone can help you. They just appear. I think this story is, I want to just demonstrate people know several factors is so important. They can make a student, they can change. And another thing, I think also I want to emphasize one thing. Don't think people, a student, they have a very good performance, then they can cope, they can manage their stress well. In fact, I found that very often they don't. They just from the childhood, they just use their way and still work. But in fact, quite a lot, they have a good performance, academic performance. They have a very high expectation, but in fact, also they suffer a very, quite a strong stress. So until they face the crisis, then they found their problem. They have the problem, and some people even they just cannot face that. So, in fact, I think as a hypnotist, we really can help students. Yeah. Thank you.
Stanley, thank you so much for your presentation this evening. Raise your hand if you think all those things will help you in your life and your business. You know, we all just deal with, I was taking copious notes on all the different parts of what we can work on ourselves. So that was just really great. I'm going to stop the recording and then we can just open it for questions. Thank you so much, Stanley.